What's up, Blerd Squad, and welcome back to another episode of Blerd Up Reviews, where we review the latest and greatest in movie, TV, and gaming. We are your hosts. I am Killer Cam,
And I'm Monique.
and today we are reviewing Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
Yay!
So, Army of the Dead premiered on Netflix yesterday, Friday. You guys will probably see
Yep.
this Saturday. But premiered on Friday. And I have to admit, this was a really fun movie. I think that from the first and second trailer reactions, I had a pretty good idea that I was gonna like it. But after like watching it in its entirety, I was actually kind of impressed with what I got.
Yeah, I felt the exact same way. Being a horror fan, anything zombies, werewolves, vampires, I'm definitely in. So I knew immediately I was going to enjoy this movie. However, after watching it, it surprised me in ways I didn't know I could be
Yeah,
surprised. I enjoyed it even more than I thought I would. So I'm very happy to be able to, jump into it and talk about some of the things I loved about it
yeah.
today. So yeah,
And make no mistake, though, we're not saying that this movie didn't have some problems because it had a few
right.
of them, but we're going to get into those a little bit later on. So, I guess let's not prolong it before we jump into it. Thank you to everyone who's liking and subscribing to our channel because your likes, your views, your shares, your engagement, all of that helps us grow and get our content out to a larger audience. So, thank you for your support. And if you're new, just stumbling across our channel, please make sure you do hit the like button if you are digging the reviews and make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way, you too can stay up to date with our reviews and reactions. I do
Mhm.
want to shout out some of our day one fans here, which I absolutely love because these are people that I am actually excited to see when they drop down in the comments. We got Queerly Beloved, Kamara Harrington, Tracy Lee, Marquise. We've got Spider Boy Trey and RJ over at For the Blurtiture. They're getting their merch and they're basically pushing it up on Instagram and it looks kind of nice and I'm happy to see it and I'm glad they're enjoying it. So thank you guys for your support. Thank you for rocking those t-shirts, and if you are interested in supporting our channel through our merch, we've got so many different designs. I will pop a link down to the store in the description box. But yeah, you can get your hands on some of these fine duds.
Yeah.
All right, Army of the Dead movie review. You want to do a synopsis?
Yeah. So, brief synopsis of the movie is that, following a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas, we get these group of individuals or mercenaries, basically, who they take that gamble of going into that Las Vegas quarantine zone to steal a lot of money, a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know how these movies typically go. Something goes wrong, and they have to figure out a way to get out of this quarantine zone alive, and hopefully with the money they went in there to steal. So,
Yep. Man.
yeah.
I mean, without spoilers, let's talk about what we liked about this movie. I know for me personally, going into it, I did have the thought, like, how is this going to be? Is this just basically going to be your run of the mill zombie movie, or what's going to make this movie different and more enjoyable? And I
Mhm.
think Zack Snyder delivered on that. I
Most
think this struck
definitely.
the fine line between horror, action, and comedy. It was a
Hmm.
nice blend of everything, and like, guys, not for nothing, the gore aspect, the makeup effects, like I was here for all of that. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. Again, just echoing what you said, Zack Snyder did incredible job with blending, the horror, the gore, the comedy, the action, everything in this film, and that's what I loved most about it. Especially, I'm especially very proud of Dave Bautista and the long way that he has gone with his acting. Of course, we know him from Marvel, being Drax the Destroyer from Guardians of the Galaxy, and we know he's very physical. He has great comedic timing. We've
yeah.
seen that before in, in Guardians of the Galaxy, but we don't really get a lot of that emotional stuff from him. And I know he was in Blade Runner 2049, which I haven't seen those movies, you guys, so don't at me. I will get around to it one day. I know he's going to be in the upcoming Dune movie, but up until this, I really didn't know how he would do with those emotional scenes, and
Mhm.
he did pretty good in this movie. I was pleasantly surprised, and like I said, I'm proud of him for just progressing so much in his career from coming from WW. I don't know if it was WE or F, WWF or WWE, but becoming from wrestling to now, like I see him up there, right up there with Dwayne the Rock Johnson. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I think he has positioned himself to be an action staple, you know. Before he got mainstream, he did have a lot of indie movies, and I did get to see some of those emotional performances, not to this scale, but definitely enough to make me say, "Oh, we're going to see him in more stuff." You know, we're going to see
Hmm.
him take on more challenging roles outside of just being the muscle. So, like you, I have to co-sign that. I was extremely happy with him in this movie.
Hmm.
Just the dynamics and with the characters as a whole. Normally in these movies, sometimes you get shortchanged with character development, um, or you get bludgeoned over the head with it. I think that Zack Snyder did a really good job of developing the characters, but not overloading it to the point to where it's like, okay, we don't care. It was just
Hmm.
enough for us to understand the motivation and maybe be able to clock some of the characteristics and some of the things that were gonna happen just based on what we've been shown about these characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Also, to add on to that, because I was reading a little bit, and I think I watched a featurette on the movie as well, that a lot of the stuff that the actors had to deal with in this movie were practical. So
mhm,
anything that they were holding into their hands, anything they walked into, they were really walking into those places. They were really holding those things in their hands. And I think that actually helped each and every one of them bring up their performances a bit more, because I know sometimes with CG, it's kind of hard to do that when you're,
mhm.
looking at something that's supposed to be there, but that is really not. So it's kind of harder for somebody to get into that, mood of being, talking to something like that or being, but I really appreciated that they actually took the time to be like, okay, we're going to go practical with a lot of these things that you guys are dealing with to help you guys with your performances. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah. And then there's the other side of that also because what they did with Las Vegas, we know they could not film this whole movie in Las Vegas. It's just not possible. Pandemic or no pandemic. It just wasn't going to happen. They needed to find a way to be able to recreate Las Vegas, but make it as believable as possible and then make it fit the environment that they're supposed to be in. So, like you said, they brought in trucks of like messed up cars and rubble and things with rebar in it to make that stuff interactive. Words are hard. Interactive while they're shooting their scenes, but then also you've got the backdrop of Las Vegas where they basically scanned the part of the strip that they were going to use, created like a digital map, and started to plot out, okay, what's going to be CGI, what's going to be a set, you know?
Mhm.
In the ways that they went about doing that, I thought was very interested. So, guys, I'm a blur. The other side of this is I am interested in video graphics as well as practical makeup effects, and I thought that what they did was it was phenomenal. It
Yeah.
created a world. Like if
Yeah.
you were dropped into that world, you'd be like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And it's a world that I would not mind continuing to see and other, and I think I'll talk a little bit more about this at the end, but a world that I would not mind seeing again.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Um, should this be the spoiler part because I do want to talk about more things that we like, but I also want to get into things that we didn't necessarily care for, but I don't want to.
There is one more thing I want to talk about before we jump into that, because I know in our, and you guys probably, if you didn't watch it, it's blocked now, so apologies. But in our reaction to the first 15 minutes of this movie, or I can't remember if it was the reaction to the trailer, but basically we learned, you provided the information, that what is the person's name? Is it
Tig Notaro.
Tig Notaro?
Yeah,
Notaro?
that's what I was gonna go into also.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, she was. Is that spoiler? I don't think that's spoiler. I think a lot of people know that.
I think most
Well,
people know that at this point. So go ahead, talk about it.
okay. I was gonna, because we were talking about how everything looked in this movie, and everything looked so incredible. But Tig Notaro, because the actor, I'm not even gonna say that person's name because what they were doing was just despicable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she basically replaced an actor who had already filmed all the scenes for the movie. So basically, she had to be CGI'd
Mhm.
into every scene that she was in. There were parts of the movie where I noticed it like a tiny, tiny,
Yeah.
tiny, tiny bit, but there was a lot of the movie where I was like, I'm sorry, you did what? Because I can't tell.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like you, there were parts, and if I hadn't known, so remember we were watching Justice League. I think was it Justice League where they did the CGI on Cavill's
Mhm.
face, and we were watching. I was like,
Mhm.
"What's wrong with his fucking face? Like, why does it look
Yeah.
like that?" You know? And then you explained why, and I was like, "Okay." Had I not known that going into this movie, that would have bothered the hell out of me because I know
Yeah.
exactly what parts you're talking about, and I was like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
But I know what it is, so fine, I'm gonna let it ride or whatever. To think that hey, Snyder, you get a thumbs up for that shit. You complete principal photography and have to erase and replace a whole person
Person.
out of
Yeah.
the movie, and it's done in a way to where it's very minimal disruption. You know,
Yeah. 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 There were scenes in this movie where I couldn't even tell that, Tig was CGI'd into into the movie. And I was like, who? Like, I guess lessons were learned from Justice League. I know that
yeah.
was really Joss Whedon, but I'm very impressed by that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It ran for the most part. It came off smoothly, so not
Yeah.
disappointed. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Spoilers.
Yeah, we can jump into spoilers now. So, guys,
Spoilers.
beware, beware. If you have not watched Army of the Dead, we're about to jump into spoilers for the movie. So, if you want to stop us here, watch the movie, and come back, please do. But we did warn you. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, spoiler talk.
All right. So jumping into the beginning of this movie, there were some things happening that immediately let us know that this zombie movie might be different, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, we all know that from previous movies that we've gotten before, 28 Days Later, Dawn of the Dead, of course, zombies have gotten faster than they've
Yeah,
that they've
basically.
had been in the old Romero days. So I guess going into this movie, I was like, yeah, zombies are fast now. Like that's how it works. But this also gave us some extra tidbits. Like, it kind of expanded this whole zombie world where Zack Snyder introduces that there's two basically type of zombies. There's the shamblers, which is the zombies we know back from the old Romero days, the Romero zombies, but we also have the alpha zombies who are much faster, stronger,
Hmm.
smarter than the typical zombie. And I feel like, and I don't think I'm the only person that feels like this, I feel like this has to do much more than just being a regular zombie, the alphas, as they're called,
Hmm.
the stronger, faster, smarter zombies. I think this is a little bit more than just zombies because there were some things I noticed in the opening scene that I didn't notice before while I was watching the movie. So when they're exiting the Air Force base with the package, the main alpha zombie, Zeus, I think his name is, there are two lights in the sky,
Hmm.
and you see those lights kind of dart off into the sky, and I was like, wait, what is that? I even rewound it because I was like, how did I miss this?
uh,
So and them leaving Area 51, did the government try to do something where they mix like human and alien DNA to make
mhm.
these alpha zombies?
That's what I thought. So I didn't see the UFOs in the sky, but I acknowledged that it was Area 51. So
Mm-hmm.
like as the story got on, I'm like side eyeing like because there was just things about the alpha zombies that did not fit traditional zombie lore. Like
Mm-hmm.
for instance, you've got the alpha zombies and they're basically coherent. There's a sense of consciousness with them. They're weird. They're like people, except
Yeah.
they just don't talk
Yeah.
normal, you
Yeah.
know. And then where you come to find out to see the interaction between Zeus and his queen or whatever, it's very, how do I want to say it?
I don't. I know. Before when we talked about the trailer,
Hmm.
I told everybody that I felt like this was really Ghost of Mars, like the
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
zombies. really Ghost of Mars-ish. And I feel the same, I feel even stronger
Yeah,
about it now because I feel like those alpha zombies were those Ghost of Mars that we
yeah,
saw. And I know that's John Carpenter. That's two different directors and everything, but still, like that's I really feel like this is the continuation of Ghost of Mars, where they've landed on Earth and
Earth.
somehow, they've and the government has mixed their, whatever this thing is, because I know in Ghost of Mars it was a different way. They didn't really bite people. It was just kind of this essence, maybe, or
Yeah,
something like that, that went into the bad people, did into the people to make them um, the Ghost of Mars people. But I felt like it was a continuation. I know that's probably not true, but I, in my mind, I linked the two together.
yeah. I
Um,
definitely see that. And then there was just parts of when you see how the alphas are interacting with each other, specifically with Zeus, because what you come to find out is when Zeus bites somebody, that's how they become like an alpha. Then all the
yeah,
rest of them, you become a shambler if you just get
yeah,
like second, third, fourth generation bites or whatever.
yeah,
But like the relationship between Zeus and his queen, I was like, is she pregnant?
yeah, yeah.
Like, so of course in my brain was like, well, that doesn't work. Like that doesn't work. And then when they show him again, I'm like you. I was like, how does full hair growing if he dead?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
because at the beginning of the movie, he had this short buzz cut,
right,
but by the time we see him later on in the movie, his hair is long. And something else is going on here.
yeah,
Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but too, um, because we do find out in the movie that the queen is pregnant. She gets killed though, but Zeus actually pulls the fetus out of her stomach, and at first when he's looking at this fetus, it's like this blue tint.
mm-hmm,
As well, you saw blue in the eyes of some of the other alpha zombies,
mm-hmm,
as well. When they were some of the zombies were getting shot up at the end, when their heads exploded, there was like this blue tint
mm-hmm,
inside their heads. So I am totally convinced that this is a governmental experiment where they
yeah,
tried to make alien and human DNA, and the alpha zombie is the result of that.
absolutely. Because what it brought me to, once we got to that point, then I thought back, well, if this is the case, that means Zeus was a live host for whatever they put in there.
Mm-hmm.
He was not dead. He was a live host and a live carrier of whatever this virus or whatever the case, whatever they're going to call it. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
changed the game for me. I was like, oh, okay. Then, of course, at the end of the movie, where you get Vanderho, whatever his, I can't remember his name,
Yeah.
Vanderho,
Van.
Van,
Yeah.
which is Omari Hardwick's character, because he didn't immediately break into zombie. I was just like, oh, like he just didn't feel well, but he got bit, and you could see like some sort of change happening, but it wasn't like a rapid deterioration. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
something that was rapidly happening. And to find
Same.
out, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say same thing with Batista's character when he does eventually he gets bit
Hmm.
in the movie. It doesn't. I mean, of course, Van had a lot more time before he turned, but
Yeah.
immediately when Dave Batista was character was dying, Scott Ward, he didn't immediately turn either. He had
Hmm.
some time to actually talk to his daughter, which is who she needs to go along with the rest of these CW
Hold on.
kids.
We gonna get there. We
I'm
gonna get there.
sorry.
That's a whole other thing. We
Uh,
gonna get there.
oh, I'm sorry, I went too fast. No, but he didn't immediately die either. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm not sure if that was something that, maybe they just didn't think about when they were making the movie,
Hmm.
because there were some things in this movie where I was like, that's not really believable, or that's not, I don't think that's how that happens, that works or anything. But I
Yeah.
don't know if that was done on purpose, or if that was something that they just forgot about
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, and for Batista's, I wrote his off a little bit more. It was Vance who struck me, because at the end of the
Yeah.
movie, where everything's supposed to be new, he come popping his happy ass out, done got his money, which I was happy somebody got some damn money and got out of it. But like you were saying, also like the radiation from that blast, what exactly did that do to him in conjunction with the bite? Is he now the patient zero of this new
That
combination? of zombie, you know.
That could be a thought, because immediately when Van showed up at the end of the movie and he popped his little happy ass out of that little the casino, out of the vault that he supposedly was protected from this nuclear bomb in,
Uh-huh.
immediately as he popped his head out, he should have been dead, because the radiation level the radiation level would have been too intense, and he would immediately died. However, was it the bite that saved him?
Yeah.
Was it the bite that made him survive through walking through, the rest of Las Vegas radiation, getting to the private plane and
Hmm.
everything else? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting. But
Yeah.
that again was one of those things that was not added to the movie, but one of these things that make this movie stand out in the zombie genre, I guess I would say. It was
Yes.
a excuse me, an updated twist on something we've seen over and over and over again.
Yep. 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 Um, I want to talk about really quick this zombie tiger,
That
because
shit.
it was one of the best things I have seen in a long time.
Hmm.
Especially when he gives the Martin character, the character played by, I think his name is Garrett Dillahunt,
Yeah.
um, when he gives him his just due, because he deserved that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love how they kind of linked that tiger in with Siegfried and Roy, and was like, oh, that's we s- stay away from that. And
Right.
I'm so glad, because sometimes we don't get that really payoff of like, oh, stay away from that tiger, that he'll really get you.
Hmm.
The payoff that we did,
Hell,
I would.
he completely
Yeah.
deserved it. And the first thing is that tiger was beautiful in a
Hmm.
in a in a ugly CGI way. I guess is for somebody to construct and build this. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was also it was emaciated. There was pieces of its face missing, and the tiger had a personality.
Yeah.
Basically, once it got hold of what was his name, Martin. Once he
Yeah.
got a hold of him, he toyed with him. He was like, "I ain't gonna kill you fast. We're
Yeah.
gonna take it nice and slow. I'm gonna make sure you feel it." But again, just kind of going back to the story with this tiger, and again with the alphas and what they've done in this environment, like they all had this personality, and it was almost like they all had like this hierarchy, this pecking order thing
Hmm.
happening on when they come into it, which bleeds me into the characters, which I really want to talk about. But when they come into Vegas and you see the queen and her henchmen down and the tiger there, understanding that the coyotes like, no, we got to make a trade. As long as we trade something or
Yeah.
make a sacrifice on, we can go off and do what we need to do. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing. That was crazy to me. But
Yeah.
like you said, the tiger, absolutely stunning. I do want to jump into the characters though,
Yeah.
because like I said, the development for these characters was pretty good. It wasn't heavy handed. It was just enough to let us understand their motivation and how they were going to react in this scenario. So,
Yeah.
who do you
Yeah.
want to start with?
Yo. I want to start with, because I love him so much. Theo Rossi is getting really good at playing assholes. He was the asshole in this. He was an asshole in When the Bell Breaks.
Hmm.
He was pretty much the asshole in Luke Cage when he played
Yeah,
Shay. Like, he is really good, getting good at playing these asshole characters, and I really appreciate it for him. Keep it up, Theo Rossi. Like, do your thing, man.
he was like so good in this. He was gross.
Yeah, yeah. I
Where,
mean, you really like. That's why I say he's getting really good at playing these asshole
yeah,
characters, because I really hated him. I was like,
yeah.
"Whoa,
You know who he
really?
reminded me of?
Who?"
If you ever watched Orange Is the New Black with Porn Stash, the guy that played
No.
Porn Stash, Pablo Schreiber. That's who
Oh,
he reminded me of in this movie
I
because
don't
he was
like
just
Pablo from Law and
Law
Order.
and
Let's
Order,
be clear.
right?
Yeah, but
But Theo Rossi was just absolutely so disgusting as this character. It immediately clicked when Homegirl was like the coyote. She was like, "Oh, we need one more person. Let's bring him along." And again, I was like, she finna kill him.
right.
She finna do something to him." Which at the end of the day, she ended up sacrificing him. That was their token into Vegas, unbothered. She shot him
Hmm.
in his leg and was they zip tied him and just handed him over and was like, "Here you go," and nobody cared.
Yeah.
Nobody
The,
cared.
the, especially the queen was like, all right, you guys can go.
Right.
Go on what you need to do. Thank you
Yeah.
for the offering.
So yeah, with his character, you're right though. He did a good job in that, and it was kind of satisfying to see him
Yeah.
get what was coming to him. Um, Jumping into to Scott
Mhm.
to Batista's character, his character arc was so believable to me for some reason. There was something so how do I want to so basically what ends up happening is him, his wife or girlfriend, and then of course his daughter Kate, are at the house. The mom gets infected and Batista has to kill her. And then everybody just kind of goes on their separate ways. And then when you finally understand the headspace around it, you're thinking that the daughter is mad at him because he had to kill the mother. It
Right.
come to find out she was like, "No, I'm mad at you because you didn't check in on me or anything." They have a very tumultuous relationship, and you don't even understand why until that conversation happens. Because he's like, I thought it was because I had to kill your mom." And she's like, "No, it's because you never came around." He's like, "But I tried to come around and you act like you didn't want to be bothered." So it was kind of like,
Not only that, because I'm tired of these kids.
I
CW,
know, yeah.
Jupiter's Legacy, when you weren't here because you were saving the world. I was saving the world. Like quite literally, Dave Bautista, the reason why he was able to be in the position that he was in the movie was because I think he rescued the Secretary of State
Hmm.
at the beginning of the movie and got the oh, what is the medal?
The honor, Medal of Honor,
Yeah,
Purple Heart,
Medal of
something
Honor,
like that.
yeah, something like that.
Excuse me.
But basically that was her. I went into the movie thinking, oh, she must be just really mad at him because he killed his wife or her mother.
Hmm.
But no, she was like, I understand why you had to do that, but you just weren't even around afterwards, and da 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 da. And I'm just like, girl,
But the other part of
I
that
can
is like he was
understand
trying.
that.
He said that he was
Yeah,
trying, but it hurt to look at her because she reminded of her mom, number one. And
yeah.
number two, he was like, when I was coming around, you acted like you hated my guts and you didn't want me there, so I wasn't there.
I
So that was that
And
thing.
the way she talked to him too, again, CW kids, like they can say anything they want to their daddy and just be like, "Man, f you, dad. I hate you forever."
Mhm.
And I was just like, yeah, "That's your daddy," even if he wasn't there.
But let's talk about her as a character being hard headed and stubborn. From the time you're introduced to her, she's doing some stupid shit. And
Hmm.
then demanding to go with him, not understanding. Like, I get why she wanted to go in, but it's like, you will get me killed because I have to look after you. And what ended up fucking happening?
That's okay. So this is another aspect I want to talk about in the movie because again, we've talked about how much we've liked so much in this movie, what we've liked in this movie. I want to go to something where I was just like, if y'all don't move y'all asses off, like they're okay. So they're in this Las Vegas quarantine area. They have a certain amount of time where they have to get in, get out because they're going to
Mhm.
drop a nuclear bomb into this area. uh and while they're in there, that time gets basically cut in half and they go from having like I think maybe a whole day or something,
Yeah.
but to an hour to get in, get out, with 20 minutes left until they drop the nuclear bomb. This is the time where Ella Purnell's character, who plays Dave Bautista's
Kate.
daughter,
Yeah, Kate.
yeah, Kate, decides to go find her friend Geeta with 20 minutes left before they drop a nuclear bomb. And I was like, girl, I understand you wanted to go in there. I will understand that you wanted to find your girl Gita because you know her, she got kids and everything,
Hmm.
but not with 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
Not you should have tried to figure out a way to get away sooner.
Yeah.
Okay, because 20 minutes ain't enough time. Also, as well, there was a lot of stuff where characters did things in this, knowing that they did not have time, we're just sitting having conversations, like the
Hmm.
conversation between Dave Bautista and his daughter, um, having conversations around like how to get into the vault. Like
Hmm.
a lot of things that they did were like, if y'all don't hurry up, y'all could have been in and been out by now if y'all didn't have these extra conversations. Like, it would
Yeah.
have been over already.
Yeah. Um all right. So I'm gonna say a couple of more things about a couple of more characters because you know
Okay.
the one I want to get to. The guy that plays Dieter, though, Matthias Schweighöfer, he
Yes.
made me laugh so hard because every time something like a zombie attacked him, he would scream, and that
Yeah.
shit was so funny because it would just be the most high pitched,
Yeah. Yep.
high pitched Shavar Ross Friday the 13th. Which was it was so enjoyable. But there's the part where him and Vanderhoven are basically getting backed into the wall by the alpha zombies or whatever, and Dietrich sacrifices himself by throwing Van into the vault
The
and
vault.
closing it, and I'm like, get into
All right. I don't understand why you couldn't have got in that vault as well. Maybe it
well,
couldn't be shut from the inside. Maybe I
exactly,
don't
that's what
know.
I was thinking. I wrote it off as, well, he couldn't
Yeah.
close it from the inside, there was nothing for him to hold on to pull it closed from the inside, so fine. But it was just like, do something. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Um, I completely wholeheartedly agree with you. He was one of my favorite characters in the whole movie, just because of the way he acted. The questions he asked, he
yeah.
was like, "Question: If you get a big rock and smash them in the head." Like, I see a lot of people saying like he was just like super annoying. I
uh,
didn't find him super annoying. I found him to be the
a little
funniest
bit
out
funny.
of, yeah. And I do know that he, I think, I'm not sure if he'll be in I think there's a prequel series that they're
Hmm.
setting up for his character. I was reading earlier, what is it, they're doing a like a army of thieves type of thing, which I
Hmm.
think already has filmed and wrapped filming.
Oh wow.
That should be coming out on Netflix, I think. And it's directed by, is his name Matthias?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say his
Matthias.
name.
Matthias.
Matthias.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it should be hitting Netflix later on this year. So even though he died in Army of the Dead, we will be seeing more of that Dieter character in
Yeah.
Army of Thieves, I think is called. So
Yeah. And just to figure off back off that it's another thing that comes back to the character development not being so heavy handed. At the end of the day, him and Van started off like, oh my God, shut the fuck
yeah,
up. To being like, he sacrificed himself for him, to being like decent, like you saw a friendship forming there. So, I
yeah,
mean, had things turned out different, they probably would have been best buddies. You don't know,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
think that speaks to the character as well. Um, Jumping over to, so we had kind of like this character that was like a social influencer. He was played by Raul
Hmm.
Castillo.
Hmm.
I guess his name was Mike. I think his
Mike
Guzman.
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 Yeah,
Guzman.
yeah,
And he had a clique of people who came along for the ride or whatever. One dipped out quick, was like, yeah, this is crazy, I'm not doing it. And then the other one, what was her name?
Chambers. Yeah,
Chambers. She hadn't killed the zombie, but there's this part where she basically understands that Martin is like, you up to some bullshit, and when
yeah.
we get over there, I'm gonna tell everyone everyone what I think about you. Well, he sabotages her, and there's part of you that's like, damn it, she finna die. But when I tell you, this chick went ham, she
Right.
carried herself and handled herself. She had to kill at least 70 zombies before, like,
Like, okay, so let me tell you my thought process during this scene, because she basically tells Martin, she's like, I know you're up to something and I'm not gonna let my eyes off of you.
mhm,
What did she do? She lets her eyes
eyes
off of
off of
him
him.
for, yeah, for Martin to set her up. So I was like you. I was like, damn, she about to get killed. Stupid. It's like
Yeah.
stupid. Ugh. But when she, now, okay, because you mentioned it earlier too, like where there was a scene earlier on in the movie where they were like, who here hasn't killed a zombie? She was one of the person that raised her hand.
Hmm.
The way she was dismantling these zombies, like killing these zombies, pa
Yeah.
pa 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 pa, I was like, if she hasn't killed any zombies before, who has she been
Who,
killing?
right.
Because obviously she has been killing somebody. So
Right. There was an air of mystery about her to where you fully assumed for her to get overrun by zombies and die, which I was like, that's whack. That's like so weak. But when she powers through it, and she's like, pew, 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 doing
hmm,
all of this, she's not even getting bit. She is
right.
maneuvering the hell out of this zombie horde until Martin locks the door. She would have got out.
She
She
would
was
have,
getting
yeah.
out and he locked the door. This bitch still got out. And
She
when she
did.
got out, she burst through the window. She's still doing it, but everyone's standing there looking at her. And I'm
Watching.
like, help her.
Right.
Like, what are
Because
y'all
she's
doing?
sitting here like, pa-pow, 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 and they're like, Chambers, Chambers, come on, girl. Like, why don't you start shooting some zombies so she can come on? Because
Yeah,
she's doing all this stuff and you guys are just sitting there watching her. And I just felt like when she died, I was like, that didn't need to
I
happen.
was
Y'all
mad.
were right there.
I
Y'all
was
were
so
right there.
mad because
I, go
it was
ahead.
just one of those things where it's just like, now I'm intrigued by this character and you took her away from me.
Right,
Like,
right. Now, did you notice that she was, and I'm not sure if this was on purpose or not, but she was kind of dressed like Vasquez in
mhm.
Aliens.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
thought that was pretty cool because I love Vasquez from Aliens because
Yeah.
she, but I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, she is one of the best characters. I'm so sad we didn't get to see her a lot, but
Yeah.
she was one of the best characters in the whole movie, I think.
Yeah. Um then we're gonna let's jump to this part. This is what threw the movie off for me. Now, granted, I didn't mind it so much because, again, you guys, when you put blood and guts in front of me, I turn into a 12-year-old. I'm gonna watch it. But I got bothered. So when Martin cut the head off the zombie queen, right?
Hmm.
Put it in a bag. And basically locks everyone there. Is like, ha 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 ha. It was never about the money. This is the money. You know what I'm gonna get for this? It made me wonder with Hiroyuki, oh my god, what's his
Sonata.
name? Sanada, his character. What was the whole point of getting them to go in there and get the money if that's all you fucking needed?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know if this was like a decision though that Martin made while he was in there,
Mm-hmm.
or if this was the decision from the very beginning. But if it was the decision from the very beginning, if and I think you know what I think it
It
was because
was because there
previously
was military
Tanaka,
personnel in
yeah,
that meeting with him.
yeah, well, and Tanaka had previously sent other teams in there to
Mm-hmm.
get that money, so I'm pretty sure he would have. I don't know if he would have known.
He would have known. I felt like that was the directive the whole time because when he told Scott to put the crew together or whatever and he was in that meeting, there was military personnel in there, which to me meant that they wanted to get a piece of this product back so they can continue whatever fucked up testing that they were doing. If they could militarize these alpha zombies who can take damage and go in and do whatever they're gonna do. That it is. It's worth a lot of
Or
money.
or
But
maybe he
again,
was, or maybe he was double dipping. Maybe he wanted
maybe
both.
I don't know. But it just begged the question because he didn't seem like he was at a short for money either. So it's just like, why didn't you made this whole mission complicated when all you had to do was take your sacrifice, throw it there, bring the queen out, chop her head off, kill the henchman, and then dip your ass right back out of Vegas. And that was the end of the movie. That would have been the end of
Yeah.
the movie. So that's something that if we get a prequel or whatever else they decide to do, I'm gonna need an explanation because that just seemed like a whole bunch of nothing for no reason.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree with you there. Yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about? I feel like we went through a whole bunch of things. I still think this is like something to do with aliens, though. I'm
Yeah.
really not convinced that this is. Oh, also, I forgot to say when I was talking about the whole aliens thing. So if you guys watch this on closed captioning, which I always watch all my movies on. I don't know why. I just like to hear the extra stuff that, or see the extra stuff that pops up at the bottom. But at the very beginning scene, another reason why I think this is something more, when Zeus was attacking the soldier guys, the two soldier guys, there's a caption that pops up at the bottom of the screen that says wings fluttering.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see nobody with wings in that zombie apocalypse and in Las Vegas.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
I don't
Interesting.
know. I don't know. It just made me was like I thought like when I saw that I was like, is the creeper about to pop
Yeah.
up? Like, but I don't know. But yeah, I definitely think there's something more going on than just zombies here, and I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see them dive more into that. I do know that when Zack Snyder did sign on, with Netflix for this movie, I think they greenlit a few more projects surrounding this movie.
Mm-hmm.
One we already talked about with Dieter's character. I think they're also doing an anime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm just gonna read this, you guys, because I'm not gonna be able to. um remember it all, but it's Army of the Dead Las Vegas, which is an anime series, which Zack Snyder's developing along with Jay Olivia, and will reunite most of the film's cast to give voice to their characters. Zack Snyder directed 2 episodes of it, so we're not only getting the Dieter prequel, but we're also getting an anime, which hopefully they'll go into some more detail about what's going on with these zombies. If it is just zombies, or if it's something more, which I think it's something
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see it. Um, MVP. I know who my MVP of this movie is, but who you got?
you go first, because we got this.
We
You go
we
first.
got the same one. It's Chambers, man.
Yeah.
It's Chambers. Like that was so I always have this thing for like tense scenes. So remember in Scream 2 where Gail is running through the sound booth and
Of
Ghostface is
course.
getting this was like that. That was that same kind of anxiety because I'm like, no, this bitch don't know that he done tricked her and she's still
Yeah.
going, don't make no moves, don't make no sounds, and it pops off and she handles herself. If not for nefarious intervention, she would have been with the gang, the rest of them. So she's my
Yeah.
MVP.
She's okay, she's my MVP as well, but just not to give the same MVP, like not to give it to the same person. I'm gonna go with Van.
Okay.
He uh he may have not been the whole smarts of the mission, but he was smart enough. I really enjoyed the scenes where they were trying to get into the vault, but they were trying to set off the booby traps at first, and he was just bringing it like wheeling down zombies and be like, "Okay, go, 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 go."
Mhm.
And he did survive technically in the vault. But I think if we do see him in any of the sequels to Army of the Dead, that he will be our next alpha. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I think he had like a little Omega thing.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was a tattoo or a brand on his chest, which, Dark Side. I think Zack Snyder did that because of Dark Side. That's a little, you know. But it also can mean that he is, they had an alpha, the Omega. So
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'll give it to Van.
Fine. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Um, Blerd a meter.
Just one, just one.
There's only one. Look, Mo, we can't keep doing these separate. I though I understand why.
All right, all right, all
Let's
right, all
stick to
right.
the main Blerd meter, the mainstream Blerd meter here.
I'm gonna go with the 7.
With a
Um,
7.
yeah, I really really love this movie. There were some things in it where I was just like, if y'all don't get on this, hurry up, get on this helicopter, get out of here, stop having these side conversations. Also, I think it did run long.
Mm-hmm.
What is this, 2.5 hours?
Yeah,
Um, the movie did run long. I think it could have been cut down a little bit, but I'm not sure if I would have enjoyed it as much. So
yeah.
I'll give it a 7.
Yeah. I was gonna give it a 7.5, but I could see the 7 because again, this movie is not without fault. There
Yeah.
were things in this movie where I was just kind of like, but at the end of the day, the gratuitous the killings of zombies and that stuff, like
Yeah.
I look for some reason I can overlook all that, even with the movie being longer than it probably needed to be. That means we won't get these gratuitous shots of zombies being smashed and stuff like that. So
Right.
I'm happy with it.
And with Zack Snyder filming this with Netflix,
Mhm.
we know that this is there's not going to be a director's
This
cut of
is a
this.
Snyder cut.
Yeah,
Like
this is the Snyder cut. So I'm not
which
mad at him. Do what you do,
which
man.
let me say again, for this period of time where he's been exclusively associated with DC properties, I'm glad he got to do this movie to come out of it. Because number one, it looks like so much fun. Number two, it looks like he probably didn't have the interference he normally would have had. And number
Right.
three, it's a good movie. If you ask me about
Yeah.
rewatchability, I can rewatch this
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
without a problem and not be bored, you know?
And 4, he pulled Dave Bautista away from being in the Suicide
Suicide
Squad for
Squad,
this
yeah.
movie. Yeah. So y'all do y'all thing, man. Keep on giving me what you got because
Yeah.
I'm watching all of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it for me, if it means anything specifically with Zack Snyder, because I know some people just don't like. I like his style. He has a very
Yeah.
recognizable style when it comes. Like, if this didn't have Snyder's Army of the Dead and they would have put it up blindly, I would have known this was a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think he actually did I'm sorry, I know we're going back into talking about the movie, but I think he actually did some more with this than just the regular Zack Snyder kind of filming.
Hmm.
He played a little bit with going in and out of focus, which kind of
Yeah.
helped build the sense of the movie. So I'm appreciating him bringing his style to this movie, but also playing around with some more things to see what works and what doesn't. And I think that playing around with the getting going in and out of focus, it really worked for me to build that suspense
Yeah.
at points.
And on top of that, man, as fun as this movie is, you cannot tell me he did not have a blast making this movie.
Everybody
Like,
probably did. Everybody.
with that many extras walking around in zombie attire, I could talk about this all day long, but just the
Yeah.
environment and just being like, blood, I would have been like, kill me now, I'm dead. Like, this is all I needed in my life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so yeah, we'll stick at a 7. 7 on the blurred meter. Oh, the blurred meter. 7 7 on the blurred meter. Definitely a fun watch. If you got a couple of hours to kill, it's a Friday night. If you want to get into some blood and gore and zombies, this is the one to do it with.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for our Army of the Dead review. If you've seen it, what did you think? What was your standout scene? Who was your MVP? Drop down in the comments and let us know. Until next time, we are your hosts. I'm Killer Cam.
And I'm Monique.
We'll see you on another episode of Blerd Up Reviews.
Thanks, guys.